It didn't take long for me to pass out, especially after that last, mm, upheaval. Is that the word? Doesn't matter. I was awoken though. I guess it wasn't that deep of a sleep. I started hearing noises, scratches, whispers. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me again, that I was hallucinating. I don't know why it does that to me, but every so often, I feel like I can't help but hear a different world. Then I started blaming the alcohol. Up until I realized that I wasn't hallucinating, and I met a fascinating duo while in jail. Okay, picture this. I'm lying on my bench, holding tightly onto my knees as if they'll run away from me. My thoughts are attempting to keep my stomach intact by sheer willpower when there's a knock at the jailhouse door. I don't have Ruben's pocket watch. I knew better than to take it on a drunken binge. I assume it was around the middle of the earliest morning, if that makes any sense. There's only one guard in the building, and clearly they don't think much of my new friend and I, so one would be all it takes, right? Another knock at the door. At this point, I sit up. The guard is alert, but visibly confused as well, so I decided to approach the nearest side of my cell to him. I motioned for him to go and open the door. He ignored me, but like clockwork, this giant of a man came barreling through. And like one of those traveling circus shows, a comically small one followed. I may have still been under the influence, but I couldn't hold it in. I thought I must have still been dreaming, or this woman has interesting friends. My laughter was only made worse by the short one shrugging off the guard's protest, stating, "Well, they did knock." You'd think the guard would have tried something, but he didn't. They seemed to have known each other, maybe, or maybe he didn't feel the fugitives he was holding was worth the fight. The small man took the keys. I turned to say goodbye, thinking they were here to free my new friend, but they weren't. The man pointed my way, saying, yeah, that must be the one. Of course, I was stunned. They opened my door, and I asked them a couple times who they were, but they began speaking in Spanish, only dropping an English word here and there. I think they thought I could understand them, and I wasn't too sure if I should lead on that I had no idea what they were talking about. So I refused to go with them, becoming even more stunned, having to look up at this monster of a man who now stood in front of me. My friend in the other cell spoke a sentence or two with them, then encouraged me to go. I couldn't stop staring at the guy, though. My head was in full tilt just to meet his eyes. Swear I would break my neck if I held his attention long enough. The smaller guy spoke to his buddy or bodyguard, and the next thing I knew, I was flung over the giant's shoulder. I protested a little bit, but I must admit it was quite fun, even for a sick stomach. And I was too tired to walk anyways, and if I was in any trouble, well, there's nothing I could do about it like this. As we left the building, I asked Tiny to at least release my friend too. Tiny as in, the tiny one. No sense in leaving her locked up if we didn't need to. I didn't think he'd actually oblige, but he turned around and opened her door. I don't think it was my asking that did it, though. He seemed enthralled by her once she left the cell. He caught up to us. But I tell you, the sight of him skipping to keep up with the man carrying me had me crying. I don't think Tiny liked my mocking of him very much. I asked how they met, how the duo could work so fittingly together. Does he fit into the holes Giant can't, or does Giant just, bust through there to open the locked doors? Have they ever fought over a woman? Which one do they think would win if so? I guess it depends on the lady. Does Tiny overcompensate or does Giant undercompensate to even out the playing field? If they ever fought, would Tiny win because he seemed scrappy and could outmaneuver Giant, or would Giant just knock him straight down into the ground, not even needing to dig a hole for his body because he'd be buried already? And before I even realized where we were, Giant plopped me down on Wayne's sofa. You could see the look of defeat across their face when Wayne came in, thanking them. Turns out the bartender let him know his little sister was picked up for threatening a cop. Why did I threaten a cop? Well, I told him just how it was. I didn't, that I could remember. I quickly changed the subject to his friends. I needed to know just where Wayne found these two. Is that where he is always running off all the time? Did he leave us to run a circus here in Cuba? He didn't find it as funny as I did. I'd wager he was laughing on the inside, though. Didn't want to make his new friends feel insecure. I get it. I was scolded, told me that I should be grateful when it comes to getting broken out of prison. There probably wasn't a single blinder who'd actually follow through. But my brain barely followed him, only snapping back when I interrupted as I remembered the woman. Told him how excited I was to finally have a friend here. One that I don't plan on getting killed this time. That finally got him to break that stern look when he told me that I have no friends to go to bed. I think he felt defeated by a drunk me as well. Maybe I should be more often.